Have you ever noticed how some people effortlessly inspire trust, drawing others into meaningful conversations without asking direct questions? If you're like most people, you've probably seen this happen and thought, what's their secret? It's not magic, but it can feel that way. And if you ever wish conversations could feel more natural and engaging, instead of forced or awkward, you're in the right place. The good news, this isn't some rare gift. It's a skill you can develop. And the key to it, it's a technique called elicitation. This is an approach that makes conversations feel effortless. Today, I want to show you how you can use elicitation to make conversations feel effortless, where people naturally open up, trust builds easily, and valuable insights emerge without anyone feeling pressured or put on the spot. It's a powerful communication skill that lets you guide conversations without asking direct or uncomfortable questions. And the best part, it's something you can start using right away. So what exactly is elicitation, and why is it so powerful? First, let's clear something up. Elicitation is not illicit. No shady business here. Illicit means something illegal or sneaky, and elicitation is neither. It's not about deception or tricking people into revealing secrets. Elicitation is a conversational skill designed to gently draw out valuable or sensitive information naturally without directly asking pointed questions. Unlike traditional questioning, which can sometimes make people feel defensive or hesitant, elicitation makes the interaction feel comfortable, safe, and open. Let's say you sense tension from a friend or a coworker. Instead of asking, "Is something wrong?" which might trigger defensiveness, you could say, "You seem like you've had a lot on your mind today." Notice you're not even asking a question here, you're making an observation. This subtle approach encourages them to share what's truly going on without them feeling pressured or interrogated. So, does this mean you're tricking people? Not at all. The goal of elicitation isn't to manipulate. It's to genuinely understand, build trust, and make conversations flow more naturally. Now that you've seen how elicitation works, there's another important side to this. What if someone uses elicitation on you, whether it's intentional or not, and you just don't want to engage? Just a little bit later in this video, I'm going to show you how to recognize when elicitation is being used on you and how to respond politely, yet firmly, when you'd rather not open up. In personal relationships, elicitation helps you build deeper trust with friends, family, and loved ones. Suppose your partner or friend seems distant or troubled but isn't openly sharing their feelings. Instead of asking a blunt question like, "Why won't you talk to me?" elicitation sounds more like this. "Lately, you've seemed lost in thought. What's on your mind?" This gentle approach often invites honesty and creates a deeper connection. And elicitation doesn't just apply to personal relationships. It's a game changer in professional settings too, where trust and subtlety can make all the difference. Imagine you're meeting with a potential client who seems hesitant to voice their concerns. Instead of asking, "What's the problem?" elicitation allows you to subtly draw out their thoughts. You could say, "A lot of our clients have given us great feedback. If you could change one thing to make things even better, what would it be?" This lowers defenses and encourages them to share openly. Ever struggled to keep a conversation flowing naturally at social gatherings or networking events? Elicitation can transform these moments. Instead of awkwardly asking, "What do?" you might say, "Most people I meet at these events have an interesting story about what they do. What's yours?" This small shift invites people to share in a way that feels natural and engaging. And here's what makes it even more powerful. It's not just about knowing how to use elicitation. It's about knowing when to use it. Sometimes people hold back, not because they don't want to talk, but because they don't feel safe enough to do so. If you sense hesitation, instead of asking, "Why aren't you saying anything?" try something gentler. "I get the feeling there's something you're still thinking through." This removes pressure and invites them to share when they're ready. And when emotions are high, direct questions can sometimes make people defensive. Rather than asking your partner, "Are you still upset?" elicitation sounds more like, "You seem a bit quiet today. I'm wondering, what's on your mind?" This subtle shift makes space for honesty without making them feel cornered. When getting to know someone new, a direct question can sometimes feel abrupt. Instead of asking, "What do you like to do?" try, "I love hearing people's stories about their passions. What do you usually find yourself excited about?" That feels more inviting and gives them the space to share something meaningful. Sometimes asking someone outright about personal issues can feel too intrusive. Instead of saying, "What's wrong?" a more thoughtful elicitation approach might be, "Everyone seems to have something challenging they're dealing with these days. It's always good to know someone is listening." This way, they can share if they choose to, without feeling pressured. So why does this matter? Because when people feel genuinely heard, they naturally open up. Think about your own experiences. When someone really listens without pushing, doesn't it make you feel more comfortable? A simple shift like saying, "You've been on my mind lately. How's everything going?" This can create deep trust in friendships, family, and even professional relationships. Beyond that, elicitation strengthens your emotional intelligence, helping you recognize emotions and respond with empathy. Instead of guessing how someone feels, you can say, "Seems like something's been weighing on you. I'm here if you want to talk." That one sentence reassures them without making them feel forced to open up. And if you've ever struggled with awkward silences, elicitation is your best tool for guided conversations smoothly. Instead of searching for what to say next, you can use a simple phrase like, "That's interesting. Tell me more about that." This keeps discussions flowing naturally without feeling forced. But the real magic of elicitation, it helps you build instant rapport. People feel valued when they sense genuine interest. In a professional setting, instead of small talk, you might say, "You strike me as someone who enjoys interesting challenges." It's a subtle but powerful way to make others feel recognized and respected. And finally, elicitation helps you avoid miscommunication and conflict. We've all been in situations where a question made someone feel defensive. Instead of saying, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" try, "I understand this wasn't easy to bring up. Can you help me understand a little bit more about it?" And when you communicate this way, you'll notice something even bigger. People don't just open up more, they connect with you more deeply. And at the end of the day, elicitation isn't just about getting better at conversations. It's about creating deeper trust, clearer communication, and stronger relationships in every area of your life. So as you go about your day, try using one of these strategies in your next conversation. Notice how the dynamic changes, how people respond differently, and how much easier it feels to create meaningful connections. Now that you understand how elicitation works, let's talk about how to take it to the next level, because I have 5 advanced tips that will help you communicate effortlessly, making your conversations feel natural while encouraging openness and trust. The first tip is to use open-ended observation instead of questions. Questions can sometimes feel like an interrogation, especially if the person is hesitant to share. Instead of asking, "Do you like your job?" try something more inviting. "Your job sounds pretty interesting. I imagine you have some stories to tell." This creates a space where the other person can share without feeling put on the spot. Next, be comfortable with pauses and silence. Many people feel the urge to fill every gap in conversation, but silence can be powerful. Instead of rushing to speak, say, "You seem to have something important on your mind." Then pause. Give them time to think. More often than not, they'll fill the silence with something valuable. Another advanced technique is to mirror their language. This helps build connection and makes people feel understood. If someone describes something as challenging, instead of rewording it, reflect it back. "Tell me more about that challenging situation." This small adjustment makes them feel heard without altering their original message. Practicing active listening is also essential. Instead of just nodding along, acknowledge their emotions directly. If someone mentions feeling stressed, respond with, "It sounds like that's been weighing heavily on you." This reassures them that you're paying attention and that their feelings matter. Finally, create a safe, judgment-free zone. When people feel safe, they open up. A simple phrase like, "I appreciate you sharing this with me. It helps me understand better." This encourages trust and deeper conversation. When you start using these advanced elicitation techniques, you'll notice conversations flowing more effortlessly. People will open up more, and your connections, both personal and professional, will become stronger and more meaningful. But there's one more thing that's just as important as knowing how to use elicitation, knowing how to handle it when someone uses it on you. We've spent a lot of time talking about how to use elicitation effectively, but what if someone is using it on you and you don't want to engage? It's important to know how to recognize elicitation when it's happening. If someone says, "You seem upset, something must be on your mind," but you're not comfortable sharing, you have every right to deflect. Here are 3 easy steps to respond clearly, kindly, and firmly. First, redirect the conversation. Shift the focus away from yourself while still keeping the interaction friendly. For example, "Oh, I appreciate your concern, but I'm good. Tell me about your day instead." This makes it clear that you're not engaging while keeping the conversation moving. Next, use neutral, short statements. If you don't want to engage, but also don't want to be rude, keep your response brief and vague. "Everything's fine. Thanks for asking." This naturally signals that you're not looking to go deeper without making the situation weird. And if subtlety doesn't work, clearly and respectfully set a boundary. Sometimes people push for answers when you don't want to share. If that happens, firmly but politely say, "I know you're trying to be helpful, but I'd rather not talk about that right now. Thanks for understanding." This draws a clear line while remaining respectful. Look, at the end of the day, mastering elicitation isn't just about knowing how to use it. It's also about knowing when to set boundaries. When you apply these strategies, you'll become a stronger, more confident communicator, able to build trust, create meaningful conversations, and maintain control of how much you share. Put these techniques to the test and watch how your conversations and your relationships change for the better. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of elicitation, how did you handle it? Let me know in the comments. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of how powerful elicitation can be. But here's the thing. Knowing how to respond when you don't want to engage is just as important. You always have control over your conversations and boundaries. Remember this. At its core, elicitation isn't about manipulation or trying to get something out of people. It's about becoming a mindful communicator, someone who naturally builds trust, openness, and real connection. When you practice elicitation, you'll notice a shift. Your relationships will feel stronger, your conversations will flow more effortlessly, and you'll handle even the most sensitive topics with confidence. Because at the end of the day, what we say matters, and how we make people feel matters even more. And when you use elicitation mindfully, you're not just improving your conversations, you're improving your life. So now it's your turn. Try one of these advanced tips in your next conversation and see what happens. And if you found this helpful, check out this video next. It's packed with even more mindful communication techniques to help you build better connections. Thanks for being part of the mindful communication revolution. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep your conversations mindful.